Professor Friedman and Professor Olson as my advisors, and I tried to build this business of statistical applications division. And I realized that I was extremely incompetent at doing any such thing. We got a chance to write a response to a proposal, and I went to see my advisors, and they said, "Why don't you start with your boilerplate?" And I had no clue what a boilerplate meant. I said, "Why is he talking about cooking?" I had no idea that a boilerplate was meant to be your template that you start with. A boilerplate is the template that you use when you start responding to proposals. And I had no boilerplate, and I didn't know what a boilerplate was. So I worked hard to create a 5-page proposal. It took a lot of effort for me to write those 5 pages. When I took it to some of my management in Technicron, the guy looked at it and threw it in the garbage basket. "What is this piece of shit?" And I knew right then and there that my days as an entrepreneur were over. I said to myself, "Look, this is not the kind of insult that I was born to take." So I said to myself, "I'll go be a peon and I'll go be a software engineer. I don't need to be this general manager." And I retreated into myself, and I said, if my turn to be an entrepreneur is meant to come, it'll come when I'm good, well, and ready. So about a year and a half into my work life, I had a chance to be a bit of an entrepreneur as under this umbrella of Teoco Corporation to start this card-based business. I actually did do a project for JCPenney, and I now know what card is because I applied it and I created what I called, they wanted to know how to rate people. In those days, there is this scorecard that used to be done by this Fair Isaac company. And they didn't want to do this scorecard because the scorecard treated the president of Exxon in the same way it treated a college graduate. There was just a number it gave, and the amount of credit you gave that was based on the numerical score. They wanted to do something different. So I applied the card technology to create what I call BAGs, Behavior Authorization Groups. Okay, and and I gave them a model on how they could apply the BAGs technology to do this. That was the only project I ever did under that initiative. But from that failed effort, I recognized that I was not ready. I needed to build muscles. I needed to build skills that would give me the ability and the courage to be an entrepreneur someday. And I retreated to being just a tiny little peon employee in the company that I had been working on. So I went back to this portion of Technicron called TIPCO, and I worked there for about 6.5 years. And when I left another 5 years later, I had actually acquired many more skills. I had learned how to deal with clients. I had learned what a boilerplate was. I had learned how to price things. And I perhaps wasn't fully ready, but I was more ready, far more ready than I was at the end of 1.5 years. So when I finally decided to quit my job, I wasn't sure that I could be a successful entrepreneur. I said to myself, look, I'm going to give it a try for 6 to 12 months. I made a pact with my wife that if I couldn't pull it off, made some reasonable progress in 6 months, then I would quit right then. But if I made some reasonable progress, that she'd give me 12 months to see if I could pull it off. And as my luck would have it, I was able to land a client pretty early on, and I never really had to struggle about meeting payroll. And in some sense, if Asok Mitra was alive today, he would tell me, Atul, you're a pretty lucky son of a bitch, because I actually have been, pretty lucky in my academic career, and when I finally decided to be an entrepreneur, I really didn't struggle as much as many entrepreneurs do. There was never a day where I had to worry about meeting payroll. I struggled in my life, but I didn't struggle as an entrepreneur. Once I decided to start the business, actually it took off fairly well. And I feel that I've made many decisions that have averted crisis. And as we started to write the story of Teoco and my journey, I was telling all the things that have happened. All the analysis that you will see in the presentation in the book is actually done by Mr. Srinivas Bogle. And he came to conclude that while I may not see 5 steps ahead, but I'm able to see 1 step ahead. So
starting your company, I had one saying that to motivate people, motivate the employees, the fear of punishment or the promise of money should be given.
Yes.
So how you settle about these?
Okay. All right. Anybody else?
The way you started your career or sort of business and today's business, there is a major difference as we hear from the day-to-day. Now the American economy and all that.
Okay.
So this has environment has changed. How to cope up with this?
Okay.
This is a uncertainty.
Okay.
So earlier it was a more of a
Stable economy.
Enterprise market, and now because
okay. So let me respond to the question about fear and money. I actually firmly believe that neither is relevant to creating a successful organization, neither the lure of money nor the dearth of a fear. In fact, I fundamentally refuse to accept either one of those premises. My belief is that you really can't make anybody do anything. I am a firm believer that each soul is independent. And most of you know that I'm a Jain, therefore I come from the religion of Jainism. And the Jainism tenets are that every soul is independent and no person can influence another person in terms of I can't make you do anything you don't want to do. Now, let's say that I have an employee and I can tell them I want you to do this. And I can threaten them that if you don't do this, we'll terminate you. But at the end of the day, I can't make them do it. Okay? So I have truly fundamentally understood that as a CEO of a company, I have no control over anybody. And all I can do is conduct my own behavior and conduct myself in a manner that I see is appropriate. I try to create a culture and an organization where people are slightly more likely to want to do their best. I can't make anybody do their best. I can't really motivate anybody. Everybody does what it is that pleases them, whatever their joys are. And so I don't believe in the concept that you can really get anybody to do anything for you, either through lure of money or through fear. We have tried to create an environment and culture which is actually devoid of fear. And we don't attract people by buying them, by paying them lots of money. We consider it a privilege to be given an opportunity to work in a positive culture and a positive work environment like Teoco. And the question I ask people, what are you willing to sacrifice to get to that positive culture and a positive work environment where you will in fact be treated with respect and be treated with dignity? And most people that come to Teoco actually take a lower pay. And if I were to say what I'm most proud of Teoco, it's the culture of the organization. If you ever meet anybody who works at Teoco, they'll tell you that the best part of it is the work environment, the culture, and it is something where your voice is heard, where you're treated with respect, where you can be the best you can, that you want to be. So we are not trying to threaten people. We are not trying to put people through fear or through money into escalating. I think of all these schemes as monkey banana jump. The higher the monkey jumps, the more banana they get. I refuse to treat our co-owners and co-employees as monkeys. That the bigger the banana we dangle, the more they will jump. So I don't know if that kind of answers your question, but let me take the next one, which is what are some of the qualities of an entrepreneur. Now there's something that I can tell you that are things that are generally found in most successful entrepreneurs, but in reality I find that entrepreneurs are such a different variety of people. I have met so many different entrepreneurs that have been successful, and they have each taken their own unique angle and sometimes contradictory angles. So just the way I'm telling you that for me fear is not a path, there are many entrepreneurs for whom fear is the path. And so for every particular, there is no one way to succeed as an entrepreneur. You can take almost any path and have a chance of being successful. But there are certain qualities that are actually, I think, pretty consistent. For example, entrepreneurs tend to be pretty tenacious. They tend to be pretty persistent. Okay? Most entrepreneurs don't give up when they first fall down. They have the ability to dust themselves up and keep on going. So there's a degree of persistence and tenacity that they demonstrate. And I think that's pretty universal across most entrepreneurs. Okay? And there are some other qualities that are pretty universal across some entrepreneurs. I can't, may not be able to think of all of them on the spur of the moment. But in reality, if you're not outgoing, it doesn't mean you can't be an entrepreneur. If you're not a people's person, it doesn't mean that you can't be an entrepreneur. If you're not a technologist, it doesn't mean you can't be an entrepreneur. You have to take what it is that you excel at, okay? And you say to yourself, I'm going to play to my strengths. And I'm going to be, I'm going to leverage what my strengths are, as opposed to try to take my weaknesses and turn them into my not so great weaknesses. So a person is successful as a professional not when they learn to strengthen their weaknesses, when they learn to play to their strengths.
Do you think some kind of a strong element of a native courage is something that you count as one of your positive points?
When you say native courage, you mean courage as an Indian or courage that is within me?
Courage that you were born with.
Yeah, okay. So I will respond to that, but let me see if there's somebody else who wants to ask a question, sort of make a question or ask a comment, because no? Okay. Yeah, go ahead.
So this is going to be provocative.
Please do. Please provoke me.
So three components. There are three possibilities. One is that has there been an advantage of being in ISI in your rising to this entrepreneur career?
Yeah.
Has there been impediments, or are they independent?
Okay. So let me answer the first question, which is about the courage. Actually, I feel if you boil it all down, really what I have going for me is my courage. So yes, I feel that you couldn't be more perceptive than that. Courage is the integral element of definitely my success and probably the success of many entrepreneurs. I believe that I can look a bullet in the eye and take it to my head. I want to die only once. I don't want to die 1,000 little deaths. So somebody puts a gun to my head, I always say, go shoot. Okay, I will die one day, I know, but I'm not going to die with 1,000 little deaths. So yes, courage has been an integral part of who I am, and I do believe that it served me well. And if I may say so, I believe that courage has been a critical component of my journey of entrepreneurship. And I wonder how you figured that one out. Yeah. Okay. The question that you asked is, what role has ISI played? I'm doing computers, right? I'm building a software company. I know nothing about building software. I'm running a business. I know nothing about running a business. I was never trained to run a business. I was never trained to build software. I was never trained to lead a team of people. Okay? So I asked myself, what is it that I'm doing? What am I doing here? And there is only one thing really that I feel that I fall back upon, which is my analytical skills. I feel I can assess any situation, I can assess dangers, I can assess and see what's going on, and it's the ability to analyze whatever facts do exist and whatever facts that don't exist, and come to an assessment of that, and have the courage to make a decision without having all the facts. So has ISI training of being able to analyze helped me? Absolutely. I look for analytical skills in every single employee that I hire. Every single employee, whether that be a receptionist, whether that be a help desk person. And many of my people in the company laugh at me, but one of my interview questions is what 49 times 19? And it is to judge, they all try to multiply, and I'm not trying to get them to multiply. I'm just trying to get them to see if they can figure out that it's pretty close to 50 times 20 and then back out from there and begin the subtraction process. And many of them actually don't get it. And whether you get 49 times 19 or not is actually a pretty important thing to me. It's very, very important to me how you react to that question. So I'm looking for analytical skills in almost every single person that we hire in the company. In US, I interview every single employee that we are considering hiring. Before they can get hired, they typically talk to me. And cannot do that in Israel and India, but I do that in US. Even if it's in different city, we fly them out to Fairfax to meet with me. So has ISI training helped me? I feel that it gave me the analytical skills that I have. I am quick on my feet. So I have the ability to assess the situation and to try to understand. I don't always get it right, but I have the courage to make a decision and to move forward. And and the other thing that I use is once I have made a judgment and once I have made a decision, I don't try to second guess myself. I try to say, I've made a decision, I'm going to try and do my darnest to make it work. I don't try to say, was it the right decision, was it the wrong decision? And many times I have made the wrong decision and I still have succeeded because I made that wrong decision work through hard work. Passion for teaching, standing in front of you here, delivering this, I consider it to be an opportunity to teach, coach, and mentor. So I feel that I'm extremely passionate about teaching and coaching and mentoring, and I feel that's what I'm doing today. And I'm not passionate about running a business. I'm not passionate about building software. I'm not passionate about serving the telecom industry. I'm passionate about giving life to people's dreams. I'm passionate about building an organization based on a model of shared success. I'm passionate about about being a teaching and coaching. Okay.
More questions. Let us thank Mr. Atul. Oh, this one.
And to talk to you.
Okay. So may I request the Dean of Studies, Professor Bhavani Prasad Sinha, to give a small token of appreciation on behalf of the ISIAA.